of African Unity. The Organization of African Unity has now been transformed into the African Union. At the time of the formation of the organization, the primary agenda was to liberate African countries that were still under the colonial yoke. Indeed, it is in this regard that we must understand the famous aphorism of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, "Seek ye first the political kingdom and the rest shall come." These words were reinforced by Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere when he exhorted the leaders in Addis Ababa that Africa had to unite, not because unity was a magic wand or a silver bullet, but that in unity we could approach our affairs with dignity and we would be dignified in the world. Today, as we celebrate 60 years since the formation of the African Union on the occasion of the African Day, we must remind ourselves that there is a lot of work to be done. Africa has made gains, but those gains have been modest. We could have done better. We have conflicts which continue to dehumanize and humiliate Africans. Some parts of Africa, such as the Cameroons, are still engaged in fratricidal wars, as indeed in some parts of Ethiopia, Central African Republic, Somalia, and even Mozambique. And we know that there is an ongoing war in Sudan, which is threatening the stability of the continent of Africa. It behooves us, those who believe that the mother continent must rise from the ashes of colonialism and liberate ourselves from the shackles of neocolonialism, to ensure that we strive to do that which is good and right. We in the continent have identified the problems that bedevil us. We have tried many an antidote, and many a time those antidotes have not succeeded in healing the wounds that afflict us. Many of you will remember the Lagos Plan of Action, which was to be the avenue via which we would enhance intra-African trade. It came a cropper. We live at a time where we have made unto ourselves promises which we have not fulfilled. We still have difficulties in the area of health, the Abuja Declaration notwithstanding. We still have difficulties in feeding ourselves, the Malabo Declaration notwithstanding. Our women are still being discriminated against, the Maputo Declaration notwithstanding. We still find it difficult to fly within the continent of Africa, the Yamoussoukro Declaration notwithstanding. We still have difficulties in moving our labor, the Kigali Declaration notwithstanding. The time is now, riding on the crest of Africa Agenda 2063 and Africa Continental Free Trade Area, for us to redouble our efforts and take a solemn vow that this continent must move from the quicksand of economic and political desperation into the hard ground of doing that which is just and right. This, therefore, is an occasion. Wherever we are, we of the African stock, whether in the mother continent or in the diaspora, we must now move to engage in the activities that will make our continent great again. You who are sojourning in different parts of the world, whether you are in Korea, in Finland, in the United States of America, in Europe, in Latin America, in the Arab world, and in different parts of the world, remember what the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah said. You are not an African because you are born in Africa, but you are an African because Africa is born in you. I am urging you to come out and do that which is good and right. Let us have a wedding between our words and deeds, because it is only then that we shall make Africa great again. I know that many neo-colonizers and neo-colonial institutions are alive and well, waiting to torpedo our very activity. But history has demonstrated not once, not twice, that when a people have resolved to do that which is good and right, and they redouble their efforts, and they recognize that their battle is not simply a simple one, but an intergenerational war, then they can only succeed. So let us celebrate African Day in moderation, in the knowledge that there is still great work to be done. As the late Patrice Emery Lumumba said on the eve of his assassination, the history of Africa must be written by Africans. As Nelson Mandela famously said, for every mountain we climb, we must remember that there are still more mountains to be climbed. And as Mwalimu Kambarage Nyerere said, every generation has its work cut out for itself. Their generation was to liberate Africa from political domination. Our generation has a duty to ensure that we are liberated from mental and economic conquest. And as Diosagie for himself said many times, Africa must have a new man and a new woman whose only resolve is to serve the mother continent with dedication and integrity. We must